delusions of heartbreak. Very interesting what heartbreak can do to you. The effect that it has, the after effect, the sort of withdrawal phase of it all. I have a few sort of chapters and sort of the story arc in relation to some heartbreaks that I've had. The first one was I had a high school sweetheart who, and you'll see a pattern in this, right? But who years later tried to come back and was like, we were something special. I'm like, sweetheart, like, I don't even remember you. Like, I remember obviously being with someone in high school, but I don't remember anything about you. I don't know how you could provide me any value now, in the future, right? Like, why would that make any sense for me to even pursue this again? It's one of those things where you have to take into consideration. Would you want to invest in something that you've already been involved in, or do you want to put that energy into something new and let that unfold and let that be something you pursue? Okay. And then another one, post high school, I was still a teenager, but I was out of high school, and this one in particular, I was with her for 2 years. So this would be like my first like serious relationship. And the one thing I learned about this situation was it was the first time that I had sort of dealt with the whole concept of holding on to hope and thinking that, oh, in the long run, we'll end up back together, we'll see ourselves, and, we'll ride away into the sunset. That was sort of my logic with this one. That was what I was holding on to. It was one of the most dangerous things I could have ever done. But as a young man, you have to learn sometimes the hard way, right? This is part of the growing pains. And with this one in particular, like I said, I was with her for about 2 years, so the breakup was very hard on me. And then I remember homegirl got like a new boyfriend in like 2 weeks. Like the turnaround was real quick. So it was interesting how that was. That was one of the first things that sort of caught me off guard, was that the fact that she was able to move on so quick, and I had such a hard time with the whole thing. Even if I tried moving on, it was still in the back of my mind. And that's the funny thing. Here we go again. She also came back again. She's what you would call an alpha widow, where she, even though she got married, she would always look for me and pursue me. And it even got to the point where her husband one time sent me a message and was like, hey, buddy, like, and he was very gentlemanly about the whole thing, but he was like, hey, do you mind just like leaving her alone? Like, don't pursue her. And I was like, buddy, like, I'm not even looking for her. If it makes you feel any better, like, I'll make sure that she never, gets in touch with me again. And then I just made sure to just block her on everything. But she always came back, and it just didn't make any sense to me, because I'm like, dude, why are you holding on to something from so long ago? And that whole thing was bizarre. And then, eventually she finally, left me alone, doesn't pursue me. And like I even told her at that one point, I'm like, look, dude, I want you to do well with your husband. I don't want you to sabotage that for me, especially because I don't see you in that way anymore. And, and then the last two after that, just to kind of wrap it up, they ended up, the two of the last two exes that I had are still single. So it's kind of goes to show you like what's going on with modern dating, modern women, modern relationships. It's sort of disintegrating in many ways, right? A lot of what I would consider like good women can't seem to find a partner. It's not because I somehow sabotaged them in any way. I don't think I did. But it just goes to show you that the market is just saturated with a lot of low quality dudes and a lot of low quality women. And so for the standouts, it is a bit more difficult for them to find someone of substance, I think. But if anything, the story here is right. The lesson here is what? That you, as a man, never want to peak too early. I was still a goofball through many of these relationships. So how they helped me evolve and become better is the point, right? Is each time there was a sort of different iteration of me, and each time better than the previous one. And I think that's the point, is you want to be able to leave something and move to something else, being better for it, not worse off. A lot of times the way I think about it is like, if I could see myself, or if I could run into that person once more, I'd want them to be able to say that it's not the same person that they were once with. And I don't know if that makes any sense, but to me, in my mind, that made perfect sense. It was not because I wanted to prove something to them, but I probably did. But the reality was, I just wanted to make sure that I was not going to be left in the same condition that they had last seen me in. I wanted to make sure that I was an improved version of myself, that I was a better version of myself, and that I learned from the situation. And so it wasn't like I was holding on to hope anymore. That I made sure to bury that whole concept after my second or third heartbreak. I made sure to not do it again. But yeah, I mean, I've been heartbroken four times at least. Some of it my own doing, some of it not by choice. But a lot of times, I mean, I can look back now and say, well, the reality was these women were not meant for me in the long run. They served their purpose when they served their purpose, and then I was kind of okay. Looking back now, I'm kind of okay with how things went, because I think if I would have pushed to try to make things work, I probably would have been in a situation that wouldn't have served me any longer. Because a lot of those situations, a lot of those relationships I was in made sense to me at the time. They don't make sense to me now at my age, at my ripe age of 36. It doesn't really make sense for me now. But it's just something to consider about heartbreak is you want to extract the wisdom and the lessons from it. And if they don't leave any lessons or wisdom, then what are you doing in these relationships? Anyhow, so heartbreak is a very interesting thing. The distillation of heartbreak, what it leaves, its aftermath is always something that you always want to take into consideration moving forward. And that's it. You don't want to harp on it. You don't want to dwell on, well, could I have done this and done that? Because at the end of the day, what needed to happen, it had to happen. Okay. I'll see you in the